Scene 1, calm but mysterious tone, slow visuals of coins, printing presses, old documents. Money is supposed to represent value, your time, your effort, your productivity. But over centuries, rulers discovered something extraordinary. If you can control the money itself, you don't need to control the people directly. You can make them work harder, without them realizing it. Scene 2, Ancient Rome visuals. Take ancient Rome. The empire's wealth was built on gold and silver coins, until emperors realized they could stretch their power by secretly reducing the metal content in each coin. They called it reform. In reality, it was the first version of inflation. Citizens didn't notice at first, the coins looked the same. But their purchasing power quietly collapsed. Bread, wine, and land prices soared. And the empire's economy began to crumble from within. History's first silent robbery. Scene 3, modern tone, fast cuts of factories, cities, politicians. Centuries later, the same trick evolved, only this time, it wore a suit and tie. Instead of melting coins, governments began printing paper money. In 1971, the US completely abandoned the gold standard. From that moment on, money wasn't backed by gold, it was backed by trust. Or rather, the illusion of trust. Governments could now create endless money out of thin air, by simply pressing a button. Scene 4, calm, psychological narration. Inflation became the new invisible tax. When your money loses value each year, the numbers in your account might grow, but your real power shrinks. You're not earning more. You're just running faster on a treadmill that never stops. That's the modern version of the Roman trick, silent, constant, and accepted by everyone. Scene 5, visuals, World War, printing presses, charts, people in lines. After every major crisis, a war, a recession, a pandemic, the same pattern repeats. Governments stimulate the economy by creating more money. At first, it feels like a miracle. Businesses recover, people spend, markets rise. But soon, the cost hits, your savings lose value, prices skyrocket, and the gap between rich and poor widens again. Because the newly created money always goes to the top first, to banks, corporations, and investors. By the time it reaches you, it's already worth less. Scene 6, example cut, 2008 crisis. In 2008, trillions were printed to save the system. But who exactly was saved? Not the average worker who lost their home. It was the same institutions that caused the crisis in the first place. The illusion was complete, the arsonist became the firefighter. Scene 7, narrator tone shifts to reflective, analytical. So how do governments justify this cycle? With elegant words, monetary policy, quantitative easing, liquidity support. But all these are just polite ways of saying, we'll take your purchasing power today to buy stability tomorrow. And the cycle continues, generation after generation. Scene 8, transition to psychology, darker tone. But here's where it gets truly psychological. People don't revolt because the system never breaks all at once. It erodes slowly. Your rent rises a little. Groceries cost slightly more. You think it's normal, part of progress. That's how financial control becomes invisible. Governments discovered long ago that slow loss is easier to hide than sudden pain. Scene 9, visuals, credit cards, online payments, digital screens. And now, we're entering a new phase, one that's more powerful than any empire or printing press. The age of digital money. Every transaction, every purchase, every debt, recorded, traceable, controllable. They don't need to debase your coins anymore. They can simply freeze, limit, or redirect your money with a line of code. Freedom turns into permission. Wealth turns into numbers that can vanish overnight. Scene 10, slight pause, visual contrast, ordinary people versus elites. Meanwhile, the top 1% continue playing a different game. They don't hold cash, they own assets, real estate, stocks, art, businesses. Things that rise when the money supply expands. That's why the rich get richer during crises, they benefit from the very inflation that hurts everyone else. The trick is complete, the system punishes savers and rewards debt. Scene 11, tone, calm, revealing, like a secret being told. You might wonder, why doesn't anyone stop it? Because the system doesn't just rely on money, it relies on belief. As long as people believe that tomorrow will be better, they'll keep playing. As long as the numbers on their screens look stable, they won't question who controls them. That's the real genius of modern finance. It replaced physical chains with psychological ones. Scene 12, slow build-up, music rising. Every empire in history collapsed when its money lost credibility. Rome. The Weimar Republic. Soviet Russia. Each believed it could cheat reality forever. And now, we're watching the same movie again, only this time, on a global scale. Scene 13, fast-paced montage, charts, crypto symbols, gold, protests, banks. Digital currencies, artificial intelligence, and global markets are creating a new kind of power. A power that can shape not just your economy, but your behavior. Imagine a system where your spending is rewarded or restricted based on your compliance. Where your score defines your freedom. That's not the future, it's already being tested. Scene 14, final reflection, soft but haunting tone. So what can you do? First, understand the game. Realize that money isn't neutral. It's a story, one that benefits its authors. Second, protect yourself. Invest in things governments can't print, your skills, your knowledge, your independence. And third, stay awake. Because the oldest trick in history only works when people stop paying attention. Outro, cinematic fade out, soft music. Every generation believes it's smarter than the last. But power doesn't disappear. It simply changes shape. Today, it wears the mask of economics, policies, and progress. But at its core, it's the same game Rome once played. Just with better technology. The question is, will you be the player, or the pawn? Headphone, music fades out, echo of heartbeat or ticking clock.